Every company has a culture. You have more than 2 people in your company, you have a culture. Is it healthy or is it toxic? Today's guest will talk about why theirs is their tip of the spear, the most important thing at their organization. Join us. Welcome to Decision Points. I'm Doug Hudson.
I'm Scott Wood.
Welcome Frankie Basso, President and CEO of SystemWare. What's up?
What's up, man?
This is fun.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm
Very
glad you're
fun.
here. This is fun.
We've all known each other a long time. Y'all kind of sort of grew up together.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Richardson just keeps showing up.
It does. They run the world.
Yeah,
From
a
RISD.
lot of worlds point back to Richardson.
Alicia always says all roads lead to Pierce.
Yes, they do. A lot of them do,
Yeah,
actually.
she says that all the time.
No offense, Richardson High School. No offense. It's only Pierce. Is that the only high school in Richardson?
There were 4 high schools in Richardson,
Yeah.
but Pierce was
Can you name all 4 of them?
Berkner, Richardson, Pierce, and Lake Highlands.
Good. He's right.
Yeah.
You covered yourself
Yeah.
well.
Lake Highlands, I was like, okay, what's the 4th one?
The fourth one over my leg.
I didn't know Lake Islands was
Yeah.
considered Richardson.
Yeah.
What is SystemWare? What do y'all do?
We're in the enterprise document and content management space. We manage the full life cycle of documents for large banks, financial service institutions, insurance companies, retail chains. What I like to say we're in the business of helping our customers better serve their customers. So it is, while it's consumer facing, it's not evident to you all who we might be. So for example, if you are a banking customer for 5 of the top 10 banks in the country, if you go access your bank statement and it comes as a PDF, it's our software that does that. Insurance companies, it's declaration packages, things like that. Could be EOBs in healthcare, could be for retail chains, retail stores, it could be store reports to franchisees that go out automatically.
Okay, so not to the point of sale for a retail, but if I was a retail customer, it's going back to ownership, so to speak, or
the parent company for a retail chain, the parent company, so, convenience store X, whatever, will then have company-owned stores and retail stores, and their businesses run on the inventory and sales and the reports that go off because they go out to the stores on a daily basis. So the franchisees having immediate access to, where they are so they can get new product in, and those kind of things are very important to them.
You guys encouraged or discouraged? How's business?
That's good. Yeah, I'm encouraged. We've had a big, we're probably we've been called the best kept secret in our space, which is
both good and bad.
Kind of a slap in the face a little bit, to be honest with you. But
I'll get some fight going.
But they say that because I think that we have great retention with our customer base. So we don't really lose customers. We have to things like merger and acquisition, political things you can't change. We really pride ourselves in providing an unparalleled level of customer service for retention. But it's all, it just kind of all goes back to the culture of what SystemWare is. So
you started off with banks and, in your description, but it sounds like it's a lot of different industries.
Yeah, any Fortune 1000 company really. And that's actually, originally it was because where SystemWare started from is, back in the early 80s is managing the ever-growing amount of computer-generated output. Mm-hmm. And at the time, that was just, you've all seen the green bar reports, right? Like back, and it was just, those were sales reports, or those were whatever they were, whatever business you're in. So it was just taking those things that would have been printed and allowing people to view them online. Mm-hmm. Now, back then, online was a green screen terminal that we're old enough to know what that is. The kids have no idea what that means.
Yeah.
And probably some people listening to this don't know. But,
YouTube it.
Yeah, right. You probably see it in movies like War Games or...
War Game. Again, YouTube it.
Yeah, right. That's the same thing. So yeah, it started out there, which meant you sold to the biggest companies in the world because they're the only ones that had mainframes. That's where it started. Over time, the platforms evolve. We run across, goes to mid-range and then down to Windows or whatever. And now it's cloud computing, and now we have a hosted offering as well. So while it started from just selling to the largest companies in the world, and it is the world, that now we have the ability to sell to any level of customer, any size, particularly because now we can host it and run it for them. Now, I will say that our software performs better. It's a very saturated market when you go down to not doing the complicated things.
Right.
When you get into high volume and complicated things like indexing and organizing and accessibility and conversions and managing complex file formats and those kind of things, that's kind of where we've been, over the years, we've had some very important salespeople in our organization go into companies and say, give me your hardest report to manage, or give me your hardest thing. We're like, well, that's good, but why do we have to start there? Because they're just trying to differentiate, and they have confidence in our development team to know
it's a sweet spot for you all.
It is.
Because
it is.
Yeah, it's harder to solve, and you guys have found some probably product protection serving those most difficult clients.
Yep, we have.
And that's probably a pretty sticky solution as well.
Certainly when it's hosted as well. Yeah. I mean, because that's the biggest thing going on in our industry right now is that everyone's trying to squeeze on budget and things and cutting, and IT is one of the first things to get cut. So in our case, the culture of our company is the core of who we are. And SystemWare was founded. I'm going to tie this back to serving customers.
I love it. Keep going. Yeah.
But the SystemWare was founded by my father back in the 80s. He was an executive at Frito-Lay. He was in IT when mainframes were just kind of coming about, and there wasn't really, the role of a CIO wasn't really a thing yet. It just kind of became it, and he kind of became that guy. He saw a growing need to manage this overwhelming amount of computer generated output, so he created some tools with his team to
at Frito-Lay.
At Frito, and then he started kind of moving up the chain there and getting on that corporate.
So a quick visual: your dad, like you've seen in the old movies, he's walking down those computer rooms where the machines are way taller.
Oh yeah,
and he's up and down those hallways of all those things.
Tape mounts and spinning tapes, the whole deal. Yeah, I grew up going there, and the raised floors, the chiller underneath, it was like 50 degrees in there. Anyway,
incredible. He
was on his way at Frito-Lay, and the reason that SystemWare started is because he didn't want to move our family to New York, because that's where anyone that was going to be, they wanted to take him out of IT and get him on the executive track. And he made a decision not to uproot his family and do that, which I'm very grateful for. But, kind of taught me over time, that just the way he lived his life made me kind of realize what was important. And he determined that he wanted to, instead of do that, create a company that was about the people, and knowing that if you get people that can mesh together and believe in one another, then you can do anything. Like, it's more important than doing anything else. And I don't care what it is. So he wanted to do that first and start out very small. The cool thing is that you do that, and when it's the same small group of people that are out developing, he was selling, supporting all those things. You kind of see all the facets of the business. Yep. So early on in our culture, not just caring about one another and just doing the right thing all the time is simply what it is. I mean, there's things that we're all rooted in our, call it religion, that translate to the way we run
100%.
Companies.
Do the right thing.
Yeah, it's very easy. It's very hard to do for a lot of people, but it's very easy in principle. He wanted to just create something that he enjoyed through that culture, and what it turned to was not just having it be that way internally with customers, with employees, but also with customers. So that translates to a level of trust with customers that we're very proud of to this day. And growing from where that was, which is a handful of people, to now we're I did check yesterday just to get the number right, 120 employees.
Incredible.
It gets to be a little bit harder to be more deliberate about. You almost have to be deliberate about that culture, enter EOS,
right,
and document it, and try to hire and retain based on your core values. Correct. So
every hire we make, we're either growing the good culture, or we're starting to
chip away
and downgrade it. So this is phenomenal. Let's back up a little bit. So where are you from? Where were you raised?
far north Dallas, Texas, went to Richardson schools,
Okay.
J.J. Pierce High School.
What were you in?
And there is either you have to quantify or not quantify, but you have to differentiate that, because you could have lived in Dallas, which you did, and you went to Richardson schools.
But if you talk to people from the Park Cities, you say far north Dallas, they think you mean like north of Northwest
cornfields
Highway.
and dove hunting.
Way out there.
It was.
There was farmland north of where we lived, because you were on the other side of Davenport, right?
Yeah, we were. Well, I was.
You were on the west side of Davenport.
No.
Okay.
I know you lived over by Ardwan's and Todd Smith and all that. No, we were.
You guys
on
can
the
look it
other
up.
side,
Davenport and Dallas, Texas.
other side of. Is it Bowie's on La Manga, right?
Yeah.
So other side of La Manga, closer to
Okay.
Arapahoe,
Okay. Yeah.
off Meandering Way.
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you do growing up? What were you into?
All sports.
Sports?
Football. Played basketball every single day of my life. Probably. I'm not very good, but I played all the time. I played with all the good guys. It just wasn't one of the good ones.
You're sneaky good. Is that like the best kept secret when someone said sneaky good?
No one thinks I'm sneaky good. Just building things. My dad was very hands-on, and if I could log the number of hours that we spent, whether in a wood shop or fixing things, or he was from a small town, so he didn't have any of the. We did everything ourselves.
Yeah. Where's your dad from?
Cessor, a small town in Southern Illinois called Cessor, Illinois.
So was he building like cabinetry or anything? Was there a specialty that you guys would do growing up?
No, he built a second story on our house
Holy
on
cow.
Clearhaven. Yeah.
Yeah.
On just a playroom above the garage.
Yeah.
And then they got a lake house, and he built a wood shop out there. And then that was like, when he retired, that was his
Yeah.
domain.
That was his
But
thing.
growing up, I spent, hours outside in the garage just
Yep.
building stuff.
Yep.
Everything from whatever.
Frankie, what are some, we named this thing decision points, both personally and professionally, those moments we kind of touch a hot stove or you have kind of an aha moment. Growing up, kindergarten, from elementary, middle, or high school, what are one or two decision points personally that kind of left a mark on you, positive or a tough lesson you learned?
Meeting my wife. My senior year in December, and I was playing basketball, as I always would. And All Saints had a great gym, so we played there.
Yeah.
And we went across the street to 7-Eleven and got a drink, and she was in there with her mom. And I was like, who is that girl? Like, you're never
Your
meet
wife
her.
is Heather.
Heather, yeah.
You didn't know Heather?
I didn't know her from anybody. And
No way.
I made my mission to meet her
At
after that.
7-Eleven?
Correct.
With her mom?
With her mom. Yes.
You talked to her then?
I did not.
Why not? Were you scared?
No. But I'm just like, from that moment on, I knew I was going to marry her from the second I met her if she would have me. But finally, I convinced her.
Because of the big gulp that she got? Or what was, do you know what she got? Or did you stalk her up and see what they bought at the counter or anything?
Doug, I know you're a man of faith, and there's a difference between being raised Catholic and being raised Baptist, just to say that. No, but she probably changed the course of my life in a good way. So
And are y'all the same year?
she's a year younger.
She's a year younger.
Yeah. So I graduated and went to SMU, and she had another year left.
Well, walk us down that path a little bit, Frankie. So obviously
She's
you
going to be
see
so
Heather,
mad
you
at
don't-
me right now.
What?
She's going to be so mad at me.
Well, this is part of it. And no, we're not editing this out, Heather. You're going to hear all this. When do you first officially meet her? And how's that go?
One of her best friends was in my physics class. She was a smart kid for a grade, and I was not as good at physics as she was. So she was in an upper level physics class, and I knew she knew her, so I told her I wanted to meet her.
What
She
was the
agreed to go
first
on a date
date, or
with
what
me.
was the first
She
conversation?
went on a date in December, and then it's perfect. We met my parents at a Mavericks game.
Oh,
We
that's
had season
incredible.
tickets, so the first date I took her to a Mavericks game because we went to every one of them. So yeah.
Did we win?
She didn't go to any Mavericks games anymore, though. She burned out.
She was one and done after one.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's incredible.
She was enthusiastic in the beginning, though.
She was a trooper. Yeah.
He was enthusiastic about you, not about the
Mavericks.
sports.
Yeah.
Tell us about your family.
My daughter is, Maddie is same age as Macy. She's 25. She's getting married in June. She moved back in with us this year, and she'll be here until she gets married in June and moves to Charlotte to be with her fiance who lives there. my boys are both at Auburn, and one's a junior studying mechanical engineering. The other one's a freshman who has his eyes on being an investment banker.
All right. So you graduate high school. I know you go to SMU. Walk us through the decision to go to SMU and how all that.
Well, that's clear. I mean, Heather's still here in Dallas.
became-
SMU's in Dallas. I mean, like,
I'd already made the decision.
why do you need
but
to even
that's
ask
funny.
that question?
Probably pretty clear.
So I'd always thought I was going to go
Should
to.
have had Heather here, not you.
You
She could-
should. Well, she's more interesting to talk to than I promise. So I was always going to either go to Illinois or Michigan because my dad went to Illinois and my grandfather went to Michigan, and that's part of town, the part of the country I was just from. And I hadn't really thought about any other schools. And then my dad took me to the Illinois-Michigan game in Ann Arbor, and I was like, "This is incredibly cold." So we pivoted and went to SMU. Which
we all
turned out to
have
be
a
great.
mutual friend in James Trawick, and our oldest KK was considering Michigan. And I can still see the conversation, him looking to KK and say, "It's really cold the entire time you're at the campus.
Yeah.
The summer's amazing, but you're not there."
Yeah.
And she's like, "I'm out."
I didn't know what SMU was. I didn't know what the neighborhood was. I knew what SMU was because,
Yeah.
but I didn't really know. And we kind of went there and then kind of ended up living in that area and never left.
Yep. So are you and Heather dating through college?
No.
No?
She dated other people.
Okay.
And I waited.
And you waited.
Yeah, we dated other people.
Are y'all having conversation though?
Yeah.
Yeah, throughout that?
For sure.
Yeah. So,
Kept in touch.
yep. So obviously you graduate SMU. Do you start immediately with SystemWare or
So
walk us through your journey a little bit professionally?
I thought I knew you were going to ask that question. So I had always wanted to work with my dad.
Yep.
Senior year at SMU, I'd gotten, this is really hard to believe, that I'd gotten really into computer graphics.
Mm-hmm.
And now the only one left is Illustrator, but at the time it was a program called Corel Draw, which is a vector-based illustration tool. And I just got into it for some reason. And my dad saw that. He's like, "Hey, we have we're doing which is now a customer, which is the largest credit card processor, one of the largest credit card processors in the country, and still a customer to this day. We had an opportunity to sell to them." He's like, "I need you to take these transparencies and make them look good because we got it." So, because at the time it was the foils you put on the overhead projectors, right?
Oh gosh, yeah.
So he's like, he would draw this.
And what year are you in school? Do you know?
I was senior.
Okay.
I was a senior because I know where I was because our fraternity house had burned down my senior year, and we were living in a house that's now part of Central Expressway after it got
Well, that'd
wide.
be a great story to hear someday.
Not today. I had nothing to do with it.
Let's be clear.
Yeah. Went up there that night and we
office?
worked all night. Yeah. Took a tower computer you do and worked all night and got those things. And they left the next morning and they drew schematics on the board. And I tried to understand what they were talking about. And then I was like,
So they take what you do and they use that to go
just
for the sales presentation.
Just making it look pretty.
Yep.
Is all
Yep.
it was.
Yep.
And then I was kind of like, this is kind of interesting. They went and they got that deal and stuff, not because of what I did, but because
It was a part of it.
yeah. And but it kind of opened my eyes to it a little bit. And after spending a summer soul searching in LA, I thought I might want to move out there. I enrolled and go to graduate school at UTD and get a degree in computer science, which lasted one semester. And midway through, or maybe as he would a couple weeks into it, my dad's like, "Why are you doing this? You're not going to be a programmer."
Did you feel pressure to do it because of the SystemWare business? Why did you take
I guess, yeah. I just wanted to be
yeah.
able to talk their language.
Yeah.
So then anyway, I just started working at SystemWare right then at the very, not a mailroom boy, but like,
Close.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah, he was not, I was not, if you think, we'll get the dynamics of family business. You think that you're going to be given a free ride because in fact, it's very much the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the hardest, it's a challenge and you got to earn it and you want to earn it. That's the thing about it. But when you're going through it, you're like,
this is hard.
This is hard. Yeah. And, so I did that and then kind of got into marketing and doing that kind of stuff. Then I got into a sales role and then kind of did that for many years. So I've, carried the bag and been on the road.
How old was the company when you joined and how many employees?
93. So it was 12 years old.
Okay.
I'd say 20 something.
Okay.
It wasn't as easy as that summer. You really struggled, I think, at that time about whether to go to the family, because you had a real passion for the arts, music, production. Going to be multi-pronged kind of question here, but did you and your dad talk a lot growing up about you being in the business? Did he release you early on to say, do your own thing?
He didn't want me to, no, he didn't care what I did. He wanted me to do his, he
do
just
you
wanted me to
remember a conversation, or was it just an ongoing?
I don't know if we ever had we didn't have specific conversations about things. It was just always innately there that I knew that he truly loved what he did.
Yep.
And so it didn't feel like work for him.
Yep.
And all he wanted me to do was find something that I loved to do. And then it wouldn't feel like you ever worked a day in your life. And I have that now, but you have to figure that out. Because I was into arts and film and stuff. He wanted me to go figure that out. And I did go to LA, and I had some very good connections through someone that I went to school with there, and spent that summer going to Sunday dinners at their house. And this is a prominent family that's in the movie business. And I'll never forget calling my dad one night saying, I don't know if I can do this. I don't agree with I don't trust these people. I don't agree with them, the culture out here. And he's like, well, then why don't you, come home then? You figure it out. I mean, I think I was going to end up back with him either way.
Is that the summer right after you graduated from SMU?
Yeah. So,
and where did Heather play into this?
she was out. Well, she was still at school in Waco. She came out and visit me, and LA's the mean streets of LA, and you can't really, a kid like that, you don't get into any of the cool stuff, right? But you do kind of know people that can pull strings on special weekends. So Heather came out for one, and I pulled everything I had. So I made the most
Chamber of Commerce,
incredible
baby.
weekend. I got we went to all the cool places at the time, and she's like, I love it out here. We're gonna move out here. I said, I'm moving back.
Hate to break it to you. I'm going back to Dallas.
I'm driving back.
Yeah, you oversold what you really wanted there. When do you and Heather, you really then start dating officially? When? After she graduates Baylor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's back here in Dallas. So now you're back in Dallas and she's here.
Well, yeah. She graduates Baylor, and then she moves back to Dallas.
Yeah.
She goes to work in the city. So
Did you grow up going to the office much with your dad?
Not as much as you would think. Well, I take that back. We would always go up
For
there
summers?
for parties.
Yeah.
They had a Christmas party every year, and they had a big Christmas party because they had a staffing company too. At the time when he started SystemWare, there was a software business, but he also had a consulting practice, two different ones at the time, and where he sold himself as a CIO for hire, and also a supplemental staffing business and they placed people at companies. Mid to late 90s, the consulting company helped subsidize the software business.
Yeah.
So that's probably true up until 90 probably.
Yep.
But the software business was not profitable.
Yep.
So he subsidized that with consulting, and then finally the software company became.
At some point, did he sell those two companies, or did they kind of morphed into SystemWare?
He sold the staffing business to a large company from New York.
Yep.
And then shortly thereafter, after a 2-year, he stayed there for 2 years and also ran SystemWare. And then after a 2-year non-compete, started it back up again.
Do you remember, sitting around the dinner table or whatever at night when he was going to launch SystemWare and leave Frito-Lay?
Oh yeah,
do you remember those conversations and the risk that you guys were going to take? He was going to take, the changes in the dynamics for your family during this time.
I didn't realize the magnitude of the risk he was taking until I got a little bit older.
Yeah,
a lot older probably. He had to convince his top programmer from Frito-Lay, who was a military guy who didn't know him very well, to leave too. And the third person that started SystemWare with him, there was Dan Basso, Mike Vanderlinden, who was a programmer, and then Alan Curl. They've all since passed away, but Alan was the kind of the guy that convinced Mike to come with him. I remember those three guys coming over to our house in the room above our garage and having meetings planning SystemWare while he was still working. They were still working at Frito. They'd come home and they'd meet and make those. So it was, and then they started out and they had to, so then you start out and it's not like it is now with computers. Like you don't have access to a mainframe.
Right.
Yeah, and you can't hide these are big machines too. Yeah.
That just large companies have.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
they get a large bank here in Dallas needs a systems programmer. So in exchange for Mike being their systems programmer, they give him time to in the off time
on the mainframe.
No way.
which is where he ends up developing. There's a lot more to that story than that, but that's
But you distinctly remember those conversations in that time, and so what were some of the conversations around the dinner table with you and your? Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have a sister, older sister. Yeah.
He said no more new tennis shoes for the foreseeable future.
No more. What was the tennis shoe? What was the Adidas tennis shoe back then that everybody wore?
The top 10.
The top 10. Yeah.
The top 10. That's right.
Yeah.
Was the
no
first,
more top 10s.
No
more top 10s. You're gonna have to wear the ones you got.
He was never. There was never any of that. We never saw any of that. He never showed any bit of that to us at all.
What were some of the conversations you may remember?
I remember him. I mean, it was there all the time. I mean, he would be gone for work at 6 in the morning and come home at 7 at night, 8 at night. And then one of the first products they made was a product called Order Recorder. It was a change order taking machine for when merchants call in banks and order cash, like money, coins and stuff. It was a Apple II based computer that worked on a TI chip that was in fighter planes that had a speech synthesizer, and they kind of tweaked that to be able to talk to a person who called in, and they could enter keys of what the change order would be. So I remember growing up that we'd be at the dinner table, and if it was called Order Recorder, and if there was a support call for Order Recorder would call our home phone number.
It was forwarded to the Basso household.
You get the phone, you answer the phone, and it's a computer talk saying. So then my dad would get on the phone, he'd punch some numbers in, and then it would go to. He would be talking to.
That's unbelievable.
A customer, yeah. So there was no like conversation about specifics because it was always present.
Yeah,
it just became the norm.
Yeah, it was just part of it.
Oh,
right.
And I mean, my family went to the Christmas party growing up. When they had birthday parties up there, and we would go up to the employee birthday parties, and they had big celebrations. Pictionary, all the little things you do in a little company that kind of. But they just enjoyed being with each other.
Yeah.
And that's what became very clear to me. And I think that's what, growing up seeing that culture is what made me realize when I went to LA and started being exposed to it, that was really an important part of who I was, is to be around people that kind of had the same belief set as me. And if you have that, you can, because these people are truly like part of my family. I mean, I remember those first 10 people, and they were always around. I mean, they would come to our house for dinner. It was, it was this extended family. And I still to this day, I mean, while it gets harder, it's 120 people and COVID and everything. I mean, SystemWare is family to me. It's part of my family. It always has been part of my family, and it always will. And we try to treat people that way. I mean, and not just because it's good for business. It's just good for people.
And it's what you are accustomed to. It's the way the culture. And so let's keep going down some culture. I know for many years, SystemWare was voted one of the best places to work. So culture, you've already mentioned it a handful of times.
Every year except for the 1 year we forgot to submit our app. That's a true story. There's one gap in there. There really is.
All right, who was in charge?
Yeah, I was going to say, were you in charge that year?
I was not. Well, sure, yes, I was.
Ultimately,
yes.
I'll
take the fall. Yes, it was my fault.
Ultimately, it's always your
that's
fault,
fair,
right?
Yes.
Again, so many people who listen to Decision Points, they're entrepreneurs, they're business owners, or C-suite, or basically they aspire to be in that role. Start to break down, Frankie, what is culture to you in SystemWare? How do you build it? We establish it's not if you have culture, you either have a healthy one or a toxic one. Yeah, I mean, hey, we don't really have a culture. Yes, you do.
You
means
you have a culture.
You have a culture, whether you know it or
if you
not.
have more than one person in an office,
That's
you have
right.
a culture. So how do you all think pragmatically? What is the DNA of that? Coach us up. If you had 100 CEOs in the room, how are you going to help them think through and improve their culture?
I mean, I think it's so simple. And I think I already said it once. Just do what's right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do what's right no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you think, there's going to be times when you can make a decision that might be more lucrative for you by not doing what's ethically right and what's right for people and all those things. I remember early on, you get young and you start getting confident in things, and you might talk down to people. And I remember my dad saying to me one time that you got to remember, whenever you talk to somebody like that when they go home, they're the king of their family. So the last thing you want to do is cut their legs out from under them and go home like a broken man to be with his family. So, it's stuff like that. Like you got to treat people with respect. Also, I think, not just doing what's right, but it's a culture of yes. I mean, yes is such an important part of it's our theme this year is commit to yes, because it's so easy to say no when presented with opportunities or challenges, and no is the end of it, and yes is an opportunity to find out. It's hiring people.
How do you start to look for this in hiring? What are you looking for? Do y'all use tools?
We do for different and don't. I know you asked me. I don't.
Fine.
With the risk. What's the disc one?
Disc model. Yeah.
The disc model. And we use 3 or 4.
Yep.
Obviously, the programmers have an aptitude test that they take, and they go through all those things. And actually, at 11 o'clock today, after this meeting, I have to go interview someone and I will interview everyone before they're hired. So they go through 2 or 3.
They get vetted by
interviews, and then I want to, and I don't talk to them about anything business related. I just want to see if
they fit the culture,
if we like each other.
Yeah.
Talented people make difficult things look easy, and I think one of the things I want to fight against here, Frankie, it is as simple as do the right thing. But there's a nugget there. You're saying you're not going to hire anyone at SystemWare that you don't enjoy spending time with.
Well, yeah.
Yes, push back against that, or why?
There's different kinds of people. So correct. I think that, and one of my coworkers said to me just this past week, and when I have a conversation with her, and I was like, that's 100% right. She's like, you have the smartest people in the world don't want to be distracted by all the other stuff. The smart people are the ones that kind of manage things. The super smart people don't want to mess with all that other stuff, which is so true.
It's well said.
It's very true, especially when you deal with programmers. I mean, a lot of these people are somewhat introverted, but they're actually not. They're just a little bit shy.
Correct.
They're wonderful, but they don't want to be distracted by all.
That's right.
And you need to let them do their thing.
Yeah.
And then the not so smart people like me can help sort of
navigate all that.
Yeah.
Direct all that.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because, like, I'm guessing it's this way in your work. How many programmers do you have out of the 120-ish?
Probably close to half.
Close to half.
Incredible.
50 or 60.
So then, the balance is salespeople. And,
level 2 also. So probably more than half.
In our organization, we've got a lot of technical people also. Our investment team, highly technical, and very probably similar to a programmer personality in the sense that, they don't really want to be distracted by it. They just want to find the best investment ever, for our clients. And
I have to go do a fun thing again.
Yeah. And it's this space we're in here doing the podcast is an overflow space for us. And we take it away once every 6 or 8 weeks to do some podcast production. But a lot of them will come down here and hang out down here because it's a little quieter, and it's, we're in an open space up on 13, and they don't want to be distracted, and they want to be quiet. So but you have to have, You have to have that with the salespeople that are, bouncing all over the floor, talking to everybody, engaging everybody. I mean, it takes all these different personalities to make a company work well.
It really does.
And then how do you, then the real opportunity is blending everybody together.
That's right.
Pursuing a common cause.
We have a great development team and have a tremendous amount of confidence in their ability to deliver because they have so many times. And that gives the salespeople so much confidence to go out and overcommit because we've done
and
that.
Say yes.
Yeah, say yes, absolutely. And a lot of people, and that's kind of why that was our theme this year is because the history of SystemWare has been a history of saying yes because you have to say yes to things that are a little bit scary and maybe you can't.
You may not have a solution for when you say yes.
We always have a solution for that.
Okay, well said.
We've always said yes.
Yeah.
And the bigger you get, the more no influences come in there. Because I'm sure you've heard the Nick Saban quote from 2020 before spring ball. He said, I probably won't get it right. You can look it up. It's a minute-long quote. And he's doing the same thing he's done forever. Talking to press, kind of pushing back a little bit. Said, what's your number one objective with spring ball? He's like, well, overachievers won't tolerate mediocre performers. And so we got to figure out who's an overachiever because the mediocre performers aren't comfortable around overachievers. So we got to figure out who those mediocre people are. And in spring ball, we're going to get those guys off the bus and get the more overachievers on the bus. And if you do that, then that's the only way you ever be great. Because otherwise the overachievers get frustrated by the mediocre performers. Mediocre performers are kind of lost and don't, so it just doesn't, those two personalities don't get along.
Yeah, it's well said.
No, it's really well said. And I want to keep going down this road for a minute, Frankie's. Again, so many of our listeners, they might run a $5 to $50 million organization, but we all hit ceilings. And I do think, I want to know a little bit why I think you alluded to it. I know you're on to something. The bigger we get, change is harder. And it's that pendulum switch is easier to say no than yes. And why is that critical for an organization to keep that culture of yes? What happens if you don't?
It just creates negativity, I think. It just no one wants to be told no. If I have an idea, and it's not just like say yes to customer has crazy, requirements. Yeah, we're going to go do that. It's like, hey, I need your help with this. You said, no, I'm too busy. Well, no, let's find someplace. There's someplace in the middle. It's about mutual respect and more than anything. And if you say no, you just put up your walls, then which happens, but it breaks down walls, I think, when we say yes. And it doesn't mean that I'm not saying to be, to do it where it's irresponsible.
Correct. It's not yes to what you can't solve.
Yeah,
but yeah.
And I know we all read a lot of books, and EOS is a combination of a lot of books. But yes, no closes doors, which was in some book I read, and yes gives you more time to figure out if there's a yes.
I love it. Your dad founded the business with two other gentlemen. You've worked in the business since you were 22, 23. We also talked when we were kind of talking through the podcast. A lot of our listeners are in family business. A lot of directions we want to go here. One of the places I want to first start is, did you and your dad ever sit down and say, I'm putting you on a transition plan? You didn't. Then walk us through your experience and maybe principles or coaching moments for other family business owners. So if he didn't say, okay, Frankie, today we start, which I know most wouldn't do it that way, but how did that happen for you and your dad?
There was no real intentional conversations. I think it was more that you realize quickly that you're going to have to earn it more than anything else. And if there's not that, then you're not going to get it. So there was never even a consideration of it. I mean, I never thought for a minute, and I mean, I didn't go in there thinking, I'm going to run this someday. This is mine to have.
You never thought that as a 23-year-old?
Never, no, never thought it never even crossed my mind, to be honest with you, which I guess was somewhat naive. I mean, I don't know. In our case, it probably proved to be a good thing because you just kind of work hard at it. Yeah, I think that if you do have those conversations, and we never really had infighting, so there was never that going on. Where because my cousin works there, and then my brother-in-law now is our CFO, who's married to my sister. He's been there for David's been there longer than me, and Ron's been there longer than since late 90s, whatever. And they're great, and we have a great working relationship, and there was never any of that.
So put your dad's hat on then. So what was your dad thinking?
He was probably thinking they wanted me to take it over.
And so how is he training you and preparing you for that role?
He was not one that would be you just kind of knew innately, like just because we were so close.
You knew what?
That I needed to bust my tail to get if I wanted to do it.
And so he was just allowing you a little bit more leash, a little bit more leash.
You got to earn respect. So I think that if you're just come in and you're anointed, then that's the worst thing that can happen. Or that you want to have happen. I mean, because the hardest thing for me was probably going into an organization, being the youngest guy there, and then having these people that have been there forever. I did realize when my dad, well, I'm kind of jumping ahead though, but I don't know if it matters, that when my dad, he had created a company that was so much about him, and that's what people were all sort of gravitated towards that, because he was this bigger than life personality, and everyone wanted to be like it. And then there was some point that I realized that I don't have to be that. Like, that's a good thing to be, but not everyone can be that. And there was a time when I was kind of coming up, realizing I was like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not that. I'm not that.
Yeah.
But you are something. And if you have, and you've got to find out what that is, and then what was created, we can still embrace and cultivate and grow. We just have to do it in a different way. And I really feel like that's what we've done a good job with now, with the leadership team we have, with Ron in the position he's in, that we kind of have a shared set of responsibilities that maybe my dad did all that before. You know what I mean? And because not everyone can be a programmer, a finance guy, a sales guy, and a CIO. I mean, that's just not, it's kind of an odd mix.
So where do we go from here? Now what? So you've been in this seat as CEO and president for how long?
Probably 10 years.
10 years?
10 years,
And so what's your vision for the future?
Keep growing. So it's funny, we get back to that, because I said we're the best kept secret in the space, right? We spent the last 2 years really revamping our brand, a new, we had been a long time since we had a complete website overhaul, and I'm talking about the back end programming of it, and redoing that, which took a year. So it's optimized for search engine optimized and all those things. And we got a great guy running marketing now that's really changing things, and that's already paying dividends. It's only been implemented since the beginning of the year.
Wow, it's awesome.
So by the time, I think when that hit stride, and we got a great group, the new cabinet, which is our hosted partner, there's SystemWare, and then there's Cabinet, which is SystemWare hosted by another entity. And we'll keep seeing this trend of companies wanting to outsource their IT, because, and I alluded to it earlier, then got sidetracked, that they are cutting IT. And we have customers but because we're committed to our customers, we get phone calls from large companies all the time into support. And our support, by the way, we don't have an answering service. We're answering the phone and try to resolve the problem at the first contact. If not, we'll elevate it and get it fixed. So you're going to get a phone call and someone's hair is on fire, right?
Yeah.
Well, quickly that it's not your problem. They might have people that aren't in a position to be running whatever they're running, and but you still help them troubleshoot it.
Yep.
Right. So we get a lot of those calls. We get real calls too. And we have to go and we step up and resolve those problems, which is one of the things that we're known for is our customer service and partnering with customers. And I got a laundry list of quotes I could show you from customers who are just happy with because this in the business we're in, it's a moving target and you're always going to have problems.
Yep.
And something's always going to go wrong.
Yep. Yeah. Technology.
It is. So you got to be ready to respond to it. So we've seen with a lot of our larger customers that we're not going to say no. We're going to say, not my problem. That's not who we are. I mean, that happens a lot in the industry.
Yeah.
We don't do that. So you find
out of scope.
Yeah. Well, it's not my problem. Go call the other vendor and our guys will help them resolve it. But then you kind of get into the thing is I'm kind of providing, I'm kind of providing that function internally for them. What if we just took it over for them? So with Cabinet, that's what it is that we run it ourselves. So we own the whole problem.
Yep.
Because a lot of the problem with first level one calls is that support calls come in and you got to determine whether or not it's your problem.
Yeah, you got to diagnose pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm talking about people like sharing their screen so you can tell them what to type because they don't know. They don't. But the guys at the top say we're just going to cut IT. Well, there's ramifications for that.
Yeah, there's consequences to that for sure. So
I think that's why the hosted stuff keeps going up. We've always just kind of sold I'll say operationally, but because you go solve the biggest problems in the world, like for the largest companies, you say I can do what they do bigger, faster, better, stronger. I can get you converted off of the system, the legacy system you have, onto something that's modern, and that's just kind of what we did. Then beyond that, what would happen is we would have really good advocates internally at our customers who would go in and sell our solutions internally. So you get large banks and large insurance companies, they're taking your technology and doing all these great things with it that you're a level removed from. Mm-hmm. So I talk about banks and delivering check images or bank statements or ATM whatever it may be. In most cases, we're not the front end. There's a web app at all the banks, and we are connected to that, and they call us, and we serve them what they ask for. What we're doing, I think the biggest opportunity for us is to grow out, because now we're hosting it, that we can then go offer these pointed solutions that deliver value to customers in specific lines of business and departments within those businesses. So, we got a lot of things we're working on, but so it'll be, and that allows you to go down market. I mean, the cool thing about what we've got is that when you solve these big problems, that a small portion of that can translate down to others. You just got to carve out that little, that piece, and then, but it needs to be. It's much harder to sell from the inside out, from the outside in. And I'm talking about from IT to end user who gets value delivered, or department or business unit. That you sell value to the business unit, they'll make it happen in IT. And we've always done it the other way. We've always gone from IT out.
That's a little more difficult.
And yes and no. I think it is until you get your story down.
Yeah.
And then it's not.
Well said.
Yeah, because it's tangible.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like it's the business unit's like, oh my gosh, if we had this would be amazing.
It's value. It's value based. Like you can see it.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
I want to spend a few minutes here because, again, I think one of the things that you can serve so many people so well in is family business. You have 3 kids. You have other family members in the business. How do you think through their involvement? How are you
for the next 10 to 15 years?
Correct. Are you having conversations with Maddie, and Whit? We just have so many listeners who have businesses where you are, where they're mid-50s, the kids are getting to adult age. How are you all processing, thinking through family business?
No one's going to come in just right out of school and do it. They don't want to, which is good. I mean, Owen wants to be in mechanical engineering, Whit wants to be in finance, and they both want to go do that.
Yep.
Now, if they land, but like I said, I mean, the most important thing is they end up doing something that they love doing. And that's a process.
Yep.
So if that process brings them back here, then of course I would love to work with one of them. But it's not something that we'll make plans either way. That's going to be something they have to decide. I mean, I'm not going to bring them in until it's the right time.
Yep.
Because I think there's a lot to learn outside before you come in. Speaking from someone who didn't get to do it.
Correct. Because that's isn't that funny how perspectives change. So if
and I wish that, and to be clear, if we're trying to give people, I wish that would have happened to me. If there's one thing I wish that
we're fighting for transparency and honesty, and I know as you reflect back, you would have loved 2, 3, 5 years doing something different.
I would have. Yeah. I wish I would have had that advice.
So if Maddie, Owen, or Whit, or your sister's kids, if they called and said, I want to apply the day they graduate college, what are you going to say?
I mean, I think they should go try to find something else, to figure out, make sure that it's find something that you love doing. And it might be. I mean, I'm not going to say no, but I mean, I'm going to encourage them to go off and do something else.
Then I had this conversation I've had Helena all week, my youngest. Talked earlier, Alicia's been out of town. And so I asked Helena on the way to school yesterday, I'm like, and I just ask periodically, so, what do you want to do when you grow up? And she's like, I just want to come work for you or work with you. And I'm like, okay. And I just kind of tuck it away. But I think this topic is really important. And I think I'm listening to you and I'm processing. I probably need to begin to have this conversation with her of, I'd love for you to come work at True North one day. That'd be amazing. But you also need to be thinking about something that you would go do, for a couple of years beforehand.
Yeah.
And get some, real world experience outside of the, and True North is not a family business in the sense that, there's one owner and one patriarch. I mean, we've got, a cap table with lots of equity owners on it.
Sure.
But I do think that's really important. And, speaks to me.
I totally agree. It's not because I don't love you. It's just because I want you to.
It's because I love you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
But I think you would also say that may not be the right answer for every family business, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sure you probably know family businesses where the son or daughter graduated college and jumped in immediately.
For sure.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
So, yeah. So your counsel there is what to the broader audience?
If you're destined to come back, you'll come back. But it's better for, as much as they might not want to, I think, like you said, it's because I love you, not because I don't. It's because you'll thank me someday for this. Mm-hmm. And sorry, but you will.
Yeah.
So let's go all the way back to the beginning of the conversation when your dad said, which I love this advice, if you're doing something that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And so do you feel that way today?
I do.
Yeah.
I love the people that work at SystemWare. I love the confidence that I have in the team that we have. I love the technology. I love the software business. I mean, I love everything about it. I really do. Mm-hmm. And I love that feels like an extension of family. It doesn't feel like going to work every day.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's one of our pillars is to have fun. It's, do right, be curious, stay innovative, serve others, and have fun. But those are our 5 pillars.
Awesome.
And that's do right, have fun. Who doesn't want to do those things, right? and so that's what makes it fun. I mean, I enjoy every day I go to work and all the people that I work with and all the people that tolerate me and all those things.
Well, what's great is if you're having fun and you're enjoying what you're doing, and it's not really work, you don't have this, okay, I got to be out by a certain date.
Yeah, right.
Because I think the flip side of that is when it is work and it is a grind and you're not doing something you love and you're frustrated every day when you get up, you're like, how quickly can I get out of this?
Well, you asked me the question maybe before we started about taking any outside.
Yeah.
Or exiting or taking money off the table.
Or taking money off the table. And that's why we've never done that is because I don't want it to become a place where I don't have fun.
Right.
And I'm fearful that if that ever happened, that it wouldn't be as fun.
Is there a need in your business for a minority partner or outside capital, or
no,
you guys can do what you need to do without having to go down that path?
Yeah. So you don't have a pressing financial need to do it.
No.
So how do you guys, has the family had conversations about what it would take to exit and why?
No.
Yep.
Not really.
Yeah.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
You get plenty of offers.
Oh yeah.
daily, weekly, for sure.
Yeah.
Successful private business.
Between me and Ron, we get a lot.
I mean, private equity's got to call you every other day. So at this point,
they're more creative than that, but yes, they make content.
Well, I'm sure the ante just keeps upping up and up and up. But you all choose not to entertain it. Why?
I don't know what else. I mean, I would do something else. I don't know what else I would do, but I like this.
Yeah.
See, and this taps into, Frankie, one of the biggest things. We talk about pre-transaction planning, kind of 4 pillars. One of the biggest gaps is when people, because this might be an EOS quote, the business is running you, you're not running the business.
It is.
There's just a thorn in your foot. Yeah. And you're like, if I could just pull that thorn out, exit the business, and then 6 months, 2 years later, they've, as we say, got a handicap down, did all the bucket list things, and then they go, what the heck am I going to do 12, 14 hours a day for
the next 30 years? Yeah.
And so speak to that.
You're going to play so much golf, right?
Right. I mean, exactly. It's a good walk spoiled, right? But you don't have that angst because you like what you do.
I love it, yeah.
Okay. I want us to kind of start to land the plane here, though. You said it multiple times, but stories are so powerful. What's 1 or 2 stories where doing the right thing was really painful in the moment?
It's breaking down barriers, and I'm specifically thinking about operationally with our development team and things, is that there's silos of different disciplines, and it's about breaking down the barriers between those 2 groups. And that's all it is. The challenges that I've had over the past 10 years, or even that we've had for the past 20 years, have been all growth related, that it gets harder to retain that culture. I mean, I'll talk about culture for the rest of my life because it's the most important thing we have, is to retain that culture when you grow to have 120 people. You got 20 people, it's easy. You got 10 people, it's real easy. The more you grow,
the harder it is.
And then you throw
because you can't touch all 120 people all the time to know what the culture's happening.
And then then drop a COVID bomb on it, and everyone scatters and goes home. And now you're still fighting to, I don't know where y'all are with having people come back. You can probably mandate it more than we can, but our developers, a lot of them,
they like it.
They love it.
Fits their personality to a T.
But it's at some
doesn't
point
serve the culture.
But it's also not healthy for them. But it does not serve the culture. So we really encourage our folks now to come in. 3 days a week at a minimum.
We're in 3, 2 days at home, and the 2 days everybody is at home are Monday and Friday. So this place, it's a ghost town on Monday, Friday.
Yeah.
But I do see it impacting our culture. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday around here are super fun.
Yeah.
Lots of energy. People are bouncing around and bouncing off of each other, and, just a lot of really good energy. And Monday, Friday, it's kind of like a little bit of a yawner,
Yeah.
So
it's so funny though, but that's because your personality, like mine, we want the activity to the more technical type.
Yeah,
they may
it's true.
not. But two final questions. What keeps you up at night?
When I get to a point where my kids are more successful than me, then I'll sleep well. I think that's it. I think that's what everyone wants in their life, is they want to know that your kids are on it, and they're all on the right path. But I mean, once we get to a point where I went to a funeral not too long ago, and the guy that passed away was actually one of our old salespeople at SystemWare. His father passed away. Went to his funeral, and his dad would always tell his friends, and he goes, I'm so proud because all my kids make more money than me. Like, I actually love that. That's really good. When that happens to me, I'll be happy. Trust me.
It's awesome.
And it will.
Yeah.
And I'll make more. It's not just about money. It'll be more successful in whatever you do. I mean,
fulfilled, successful.
People go to ministry or whatever. It's not, obviously it's not about money. I didn't mean that, but.
No, it's more successful in what
you find, what you love, and
they're full on doing it. You got a room. One of our favorite questions and exercises to kind of wrap up decision points is, you got 100 CEOs in the room, and you got a minute or two. What's your pitch? What's your elevator message to CEOs?
About
life, anything.
Oh,
keys to life, keys to success, keys to move forward, whatever
keys to
it might
business.
Be. Keys to business.
It's so hard to take the bait and go where the money is, which is not always the right thing to do. But when you're faced with those challenges, and I think that's why I would probably tell them that I think my faith is the foundation of why I make decisions the way I make them. And when I speak to our company every month, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that those weren't derived from what I know about the Bible. So all those messages come from, you go to church every Sunday, you hear your pastor speak, every one of those things translates to what you do at work. Now, some people might not want it to be framed that it's Christianity,
right?
But it's kind of about just doing what's right.
Yep.
And if you just say it's about doing what's right and not about being Christian, which is so polarizing to some people for some reason, it's hard to argue with doing what's right.
Very well said. Thank you, Frankie. Thank you. It's awesome. And thank you for spending time with us at Decision Points. Have a great rest of the day.